Now, here to tell us what's new on Pandora and beyond, please welcome Paul Sage and Randy Varnelli from Gearbox and IGN's Tina Amini.
Hello.
Hello. Guys.
Welcome, guys.
Hey. Congrats on another look at your game, a game we're very excited about.
Good.
I feel like we've been waiting a long time for this game.
Yeah, us too. We're ready to get it out there.
It's been, what, 7 years?
Yeah.
7 years, 2012, yeah.
Very, very cool. So what are we looking at today?
Today we're going to run through you're going to get to see one of our new characters. Character is named Mose, right? And we're going to show you one of our new planets. So we're going to show you Mose gameplay on Eden 6. It's a planet that is brand new for Borderlands 3. Talked about it a little bit in the lore, but we actually get to see it now.
Very, very cool. All right, so we see that here. Mose is the gunner class, is that right?
Mose is the gunner class. That's right. She has an Iron Bear mech that she can call down at any time.
And it looks like we've seen in a couple of the trailers that your partner is able to jump on the back of this mech and kind of like man a minigun. What's going on there?
Yes, that's one of my favorite things. It's an ability you can actually take in one of the skill trees called Daka Bear. And basically, it exactly what you said, Tina. It puts a mount on the back of the Iron Bear that any teammate, any co-op player can jump on the back, and they can basically man a turret while you're driving Iron Bear around and just causing all sorts of mayhem on your own. So it's really sweet.
Kind of adds to that whole co-op experience.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Mobile turret.
Yeah, from the very beginning, we were really trying to make sure that this was the best cooperative experience that we've ever created.
And can you talk to me about the guns too? Now that we're watching Mose in action, I mean, like obviously the weapons in Borderlands has been a staple of the series, but you guys have introduced this new concept of multiple firing modes, so it kind of really extends your loadout.
Right. Early on in development, this is really fun. We decided, we want those manufacturers to kind of stand out. So, we've always, I think, done a pretty good job with our stats and making sure the stats was different. But this is like, how do we make gameplay different on each gun, right? So making sure that the manufacturers have things like we have bullets that home if you're doing an Atlas, or we have Torg where you can fire just, straight, almost like mini rockets, right? But then you can put it on a delay trigger with that gun mode switch that you're talking about, and you wait to reload, and then those, it just sticks to targets, and then it just blows up. So, really wanted to make sure to hammer in those, each gun has a gameplay difference that feels good.
I love it because, we talk about 1 billion guns in Borderlands 3, and this is a lot, right? But what's really awesome is not only do we have just numerically over 1 billion guns in Borderlands 3, but the different types feel really unique and distinct. And like Paul was talking about, the trigger delay on there on the Torgs. You've seen in other videos the TDR gun with legs that we showed off a little bit. There's some crazy new stuff in the gun variety that I think fans are just going to go nuts over.
How did you guys come up with guns with legs? I really need to know.
I think that was just, we were goofing off one day, and there was one of our artists actually drew it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that really stuck with us, and we're like, do that. Like, that's the thing we should do, right? So
that must be one of the nice things about working on a game like Borderlands, where you can come up with a crazy idea, and you'll be like, yeah, that fits in this game, whereas that doesn't work for, many other types of games, right?
Right. Just a behind-the-scenes thing. I think it's one of the beautiful things about Gearbox is, that people talk about creative direction, getting to say no. No, it's more like, hey, how can we get the idea that you just had and make that part of the game, right? Yeah. And that's really important too.
That's very cool.
Was that the concept behind the cheeseburger firing gun too?
The
you
Gettle
guys
burger.
Just, like, ordered cheeseburgers into a brainstorm one day, and why not?
Well, it is a great. It's how the team builds on one another, right? Because at our release event about a month ago, we showed off a mission on the planet Promethea where you're going in and helping this diner reestablish itself in this war-torn city, and so we wanted a good, appropriate reward for that. And so, we had this crazy mission to get, to basically get a fast food stand going again. And then what kind of reward you? Well, you have to have a rocket launcher that shoots hamburgers. I mean, that's just obvious. So you have some really great guys at Gearbox in the team that we always one another. You come up with crazy.
In fact, that same gun, a guy named Keith Schuler, who's been in the industry for like over 25 years, said, "This is it. I finally gotten a gun that can shoot hamburgers in a game. I've made my mark on the industry."
We've peaked.
Yeah, there we go.
He should be very proud.
Yeah.
It looks like you guys have overhauled the inventory screens.
We have overhauled the inventory screens. Like all of our UI, we try to make it very clean, very easy to use. Make sure that you can compare guns. One of the big things that you have to do is like, hey, is this gun better than this gun? So we want to make sure that comparison is there because when you kill something, you get the loot immediately. It's a big deal for us.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of quality of life changes. Like you can walk up to a vending machine and auto kind of refill your ammunition and other such features.
Right. That it's funny that you mentioned auto refill. That was one of the things that when I first came, I'm like, come on, we have to do this, right? This is something we absolutely have to do. And it's such a minor thing, but that convenience is there for players. Like the ammo that will fly at you now, so you don't just have to pick up and click each individual piece of ammo. Was a big thing for us. So yeah, the little minor conveniences, of
keep
the
the
game.
pace of the action going.
It
right.
does. Yeah. Yeah, so here you can see, I think we're looking at Eden 6 here. I found a white chest. And we saw a little bit of the Iron Bear earlier climbing in, and seeing the different abilities. We have these abilities. Oh, actually, let me talk about the crew challenge because we're seeing that right now. So crew challenges are completely new. They're little things that you can do that are based off of the characters that are on Sanctuary 3. And if you complete these challenges on a map, then you get like different rewards for completing the challenges for the different crew members. We talked a little bit about Claptrap. You find parts for Claptrap, and Claptrap will actually try to build a girlfriend. So you're helping Claptrap to build a girlfriend. And so you find the parts all over the different game here.
Is that what we saw back in the Sanctuary demo where
There's a little
caught him in some kind of act? I don't know what.
Claptrap assembling the parts and getting it together. What I love about crew challenges are like in Borderlands 2, these would just been little side missions. We had side missions of various different sizes. And we really, really doubled and tripled down on the amount of content in this game. We still have a lot of side missions that are really cool, but crew challenges, there are several crew members, familiar characters that people love that you get to go and do these, what would have just been a passing side mission here, and now it's a challenge system. It has great rewards, it gets in the world, it's tracked a little bit differently. Again, just a monstrous amount of content for people to dig into.
What about Eden 6, this planet that we're on? What can you tell us about that?
Eden 6 was interesting because I remember we were in development. We were like, what if we modeled this kind of around, this Louisiana bayou feel, right? We've always had a little bit of that, hick vibe to some of our NPCs, started out with TK Baja. And so that really kind of grew into, the environment you're seeing right now. It also is a home to one of our gun manufacturer families. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually the estate of Jacobs. Jacobs weapon manufacturers that make like the kind of classic semi-auto, really powerful one-shot, and great sniper rifles, great pistols, and all that. You actually have a quest here. You see the Lair of the Harpy. Go to the Jacobs Manor. So I don't want to spoil any of the plot line here because we're only seeing a glimpse of it today. But all of the plot on Eden 6 revolves around kind of untangling and unpacking some of this family drama that's going on with the Jacobs manufacturer, and as you can see in the sub-objective, find a vault key. So somewhere vaults and vault keys and Jacobs are all tied up together, and you're gonna immerse yourself in that as you kind of check into the ancestral home of the Jacobs and find out what's going on there. So we always love that, love it coming back to the lore of the world and weapon manufacturers and how it interplays in the universe. And I love it when we get to these outlying places like Eden because you see how it affects more of the common people and what's going on there. And again, I don't want to spoil a lot. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here, but it's a really neat way to see Jacobs.
Do you get a extra special Jacobs weapon on this planet?
Couple of
Yeah?
I think you get a couple of different things there for rewards. Absolutely.
Just like shoots out jambalaya at you?
A jambalaya gun.
No, but that's what a great
You
idea.
can take it. All yours.
It's going to be in the game now.
Right.
Yeah, I hope so. DLC #1.
You got it. Right away.
I think we set that last enemy on fire. Are there new elemental damage types?
We do. We have. We've introduced a new elemental damage type called radiation. The thing I like about radiation is, well, it basically, so everything dots, like when you get them under an effect, right? So you can see that it does damage over time on that enemy. But when that enemy dies under that effect, then they explode, and then they have a chance to irradiate the enemies around them. So it can act like a virus almost in the way it goes, yeah.
And there's a lot of new elemental effects on the environment too, and a lot of destructible environment settings that you guys have added into Borderlands 3.
You have done your research.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So absolutely, if you have water and you shock that water, then it'll hurt the enemies that are touching that water. You can actually freeze like certain things where you can get across them. So yeah, there's a lot to the environmental effects there.
Speaking of loot, watch in just a second. We're about to take out this loot tank. We saw some loot goons and stuff around in Borderlands 2, but this loot tank's going to die, and he's going to
And this is just one of those enemies that has like a loot chest on their backs?
That's
or-
right. In fact, he has a little backpack, and Mose is going to open up Iron Bear here. Here's a cool thing, like going on with Iron Bear. You see the little, she's shooting her Vanquisher rocket pod. She has slotted there on the left. But you see the little widgets in the UI come there. Actually, the rockets are homing in. They're locking on the enemies. So you lock them in, and then you have these great kind of missiles that swarm out and around and home in on the dudes.
Yeah. With Iron Bear, you can have 2 different action skills, sort of. We call them hard points, where, you saw that where he was mentioning you have the rocket pods on there. We also have a rail gun that you can put on there. So the player gets to mix and match. Again, with the game, we wanted to make sure it's not just one action skill, but there are a lot of different action skills that you open up as you go down those trees.
Yeah, you guys kind of like narrowed in the abilities that you can play around with. Like there seem to be fewer of them, but you can kind of like mesh them up a little bit more to your liking.
Actually, we have more action
More
skills
action abilities?
than ever. Yeah, absolutely. Put around 4 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I noticed like towards the end it looked like it was getting a little bit brighter. Does that mean that you guys have a new day-night cycle system as well?
You have indeed done your research.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, it looks great.
Thank you
Yeah.
very
Thank
much.
you very much.
So we're traveling to different planets now. Should we expect to find different types of enemies on each planet for different ecosystems and cultures?
There are a ton of different enemies scattered throughout the game. We have this overarching story where we talk about the cult and we talk about the Calypsos, but they have, they've taken the bandits from the previous games and they've really, kind of indoctrinated them into their cult.
Unified them into a single Children of the Vault.
Yeah, so they can be on almost any planet, but then of course each planet has its own unique indigenous people and fauna.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely, it's going to be all sorts of stuff. If I said the word dinosaurs, the people
Whoa.
would see,
Oh.
some of
Whoa.
those in there. Yeah.
Prehistoric
Yeah.
planets.
I like
Right,
it.
right.
I like it. Everyone's excited about Borderlands 3, but there's new content for Borderlands 2 out today. isn't there?
Surprise!
Yeah.
Commander Lilith and the fight for Sanctuary. This has been, we actually had this in the camp for a little bit. We were waiting to just the right moment, and we're so excited to finally get to unleash it on the world.
That's very cool.
So a brand new DLC for Borderlands 2 that we talked about released in 2012. But we really wanted something that would bridge the story between Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3. It's been a while. It's been a few years for a lot of people, and even our guys, our great, so many wonderful fans in our community that played a lot of Borderlands 2. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Commander Lilith tells the story basically where we left off in Borderlands 2. What happened to Sanctuary, what happened to some of our favorite vault hunters there, and especially what happened to that vault map, that key that we saw at the very end. Spoiler, sorry, it's been 7 years. So
It's
I
been
guess
7
it's
years.
I think
We're
it's
in the
okay.
clear.
at the
I will
very-
allow it.
At the very end of Borderlands 2, you see the vault map, and then the map comes up out of it, and you see vaults all over the universe. So what's happened with that? A lot of people have questions, and certainly vaults are going to be very important again in Borderlands 3. So we wanted to refresh everybody's mind, set up Lilith, tell a little bit of the story of Lilith's rise to power in the universe as she's taken over as commander of the Crimson Raiders, and you get to dig into that right now.
Yeah.
So what happens with Lilith, though? Because in the intro of the new trailer, she mentions, I used to be one of the most powerful sirens, and then her tattoos kind of disappear.
Bad things.
Yeah.
Trademark,
Spoilers. Yeah. I will say she must survive the DLC to make it to the third
Well,
one.
at least there's that, but
Yeah.
no longer as a siren, apparently.
Lilith has a great journey. We've followed her since a playable character in Borderlands 1. In Borderlands 2, she lost kind of love her life Roland and then had to step up and take leadership of the Crimson Raiders. Commander Lilith in the Fight for Sanctuary tells a little bit of that. And then, of course, right at the beginning of Borderlands 3, we saw in a pre-release event, she's sending you after that vault key again, with Claptrap and others to do that. So there's some things that happened to Lilith, and we're going to get to really, really dig into her story a lot more in both the DLC and in Borderlands 3.
Right.
Very cool. Borderlands 2 is very accessible right now, too, because the Handsome Collection, I think, is in both PS Plus and
Yes.
Games with Gold right now, right?
I think
So,
that's
Correct.
true, yes.
very good time to revisit Borderlands 2. Borderlands 3 hits Xbox One, PS4, and PC on September 13th. But before that, you're launching the Vault Insider program on Borderlands.com. Can you tell us a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah, so if you go to Borderlands.com, I think we even have a special code they can enter. And this code
IGN
is
VIP.
That's right.
IGN VIP, yeah.
Absolutely.
That'll get you 250 points right now. And with that, you can get cool free Borderlands 3 cosmetics. Very cool. Thank you very much, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
for that.
Yeah.
IGN